There's not much better than biting into a freshly cooked, crunchy, juicy piece of fried chicken. Let's go over how you can make this at home. You'll need 2 large chicken breasts, and you want to cut off any of the fat or silver skin or little bone shards that are sometimes left, or any other bits and pieces that you wouldn't want to eat in a piece of fried chicken, so that you're left with just clean chicken breast meat. I like to use the chicken breast here because I find that it stays very tender and juicy and is a lot less fiddly than something like thigh, where there'd be a lot of fat in between all the chicken to cut off. I like cutting them up into strips about 2 fingers thick and try to keep all the pieces a uniform sort of size and shape. That way they cook evenly and they're a perfect size to put onto something like a long roll, or just to pick up and bite into. But when they're fried, obviously, not like this when they're raw. That would be disgusting. Keep going until you've broken down all of the chicken into little strips, and then you want to place them into the bowl. I like to sort of spread them out evenly, 1 layer thick on the bottom of the bowl, and then cover them in any sort of a barbecue spice rub of your choice. I just cover the one side, flip them over, cover the other side, and then do the second layer of chicken and continue until you've covered all sides of the chicken with some of the barbecue spice rub. Next, you want to pour in your buttermilk, and that's around 250 to 300 ml of buttermilk. And I then just stir the chicken around a little bit. Just make sure that all sides of the chicken are covered in buttermilk and not stuck to the edge of the bowl. Cover it and stick it into the fridge for at least 4 hours or overnight. Now it's time to make the breading for the chicken. I use a plain gluten-free flour from Orgran. I just found this flour works really well and makes a good crispy coating for the chicken without needing to mix too many things together. You add some barbecue spice rub to around 250 grams of the flour, and keep trying the flour as you're mixing through the spice rub to see that it's properly seasoned, and if it tastes too plain, then keep adding seasoning until it tastes right. Then you want to take each of the strips of chicken and dunk them into the breading flour mix. Squeeze the outside of the chicken in the flour to make sure that as much of the flour sticks to each piece of chicken as possible, and keep going until you've coated all of your pieces of chicken. My kids enjoy a pink sauce with the fried chicken, which is just a whole egg mayonnaise into which you put some tomato sauce, mix it all through until it's well combined, and you have a pink sauce. And now it's time for the main event, frying the chicken. Heat your oil to 180 degrees Celsius in a large, heavy-bottomed cast iron casserole pot like a Le Creuset pot. This helps to maintain the temperature of the oil when you drop all the chicken in, so that it doesn't drop down too low too quickly. You want to try to maintain that oil temperature at around 180, but it can drop down to around 160, and then climb back up again. We just use vegetable oil for the frying, and when it's all done, we leave the oil to cool in the pot and take a funnel into which we put a paper coffee filter, and then pour the oil through that just to strain out any solids, and the oil's perfectly good to reuse for another fry at another time. It doesn't take terribly long to cook the chicken, maybe 4 to 5 minutes. Pretty much you're looking for the outside to be golden brown and crispy, but because you've cut the chicken into fairly thin strips, it cooks relatively quickly, so there's not really any risk of raw chicken. Whereas a bigger piece of chicken, like a leg with the bone in, you've got to be a bit more careful with the frying. And also make sure you use metal tongs and not plastic ones, because the oil is very hot and you will likely melt the plastic tongs into your oil, which would be no good for anyone. You can see that the colour of the chicken is starting to change and they're getting that golden brown sort of colour to it, meaning they're almost ready. Crispy chicken. You'll likely need to cook the chicken in a couple of batches, but as each batch is done, take them out, put them onto a wire rack to cool, and this helps the oil to drain off and also means that the chicken doesn't sweat, so you don't want to put them onto a plate or it'll affect that crispy coating underneath. Oh, so good. Serve the meal with some guacamole, your pink sauce, some white wine of course, some white bread rolls, sliced onion, sliced pickles, and pickled red onion. And put that onto a roll with some jalapenos if you like jalapenos, and you've got yourself a really, really tasty meal.